Next up in the Wild Way to Lucid Dreaming, we'll be moving on to what is essentially the end of the book, where there's one section after this about frequently asked questions. I might do a video on that part, not sure yet, but it's kind of funny because I didn't realize how close we were to actually finishing this book, because I haven't posted about it for like, a month or two, not counting the video I shot right before this and probably will post right before this. But if I knew we were like 3 or so videos away from wrapping the whole thing up, I probably would have finished this book like, a month or two ago. Anyway, this last chapter is titled The Philosophy of Lucid Dreaming. At least I think that's the title. I'm not on the page. Yeah, The Philosophy of Lucid Dreaming. This is one of the bigger chapters. He covers, several different things. So I actually might do multiple videos on this chapter, but the main thing I want to focus on is one of his main theories and hypothesis about his whole approach to lucid dreaming and being able to have wilds on command, even like when first lying down to go to sleep at night. He can essentially transition from a lighter stage of sleep directly into REM, when most of us, for those first 2 sleep cycles or roughly 3 hours of being asleep at night, we typically go from this light stage of sleep into deep sleep, stage 3, 4 stuff, then pop out into REM. But anyway, his theory around this is that if everybody could figure out how to lucid dream on command and start having these lucid dreams immediately when you first go to sleep at night, that we could get away with needing far less sleep. Now, I don't think he puts an actual hour on this, at least not in these highlights I'm seeing here. For some reason in my head, I think I remember him like suggesting maybe 4 hours, but say he theorizes that if we could lucid dream on command and do it immediately, that we could sleep, maybe only 4 hours a day instead of the typical recommended like 7, 8, or 9 hours. And I disagree with this theory of his, by the way, as I think I've said in probably every video that we've brought this up. But here are some of his reasons why he thinks this might be the case. Without REM sleep, we humans apparently just wither and waste away, both physically and mentally. It is as though such people haven't slept at all and exhibit many of the symptoms of sleep deprivation, even though they may have indeed physically slept for hours. It would seem, therefore, that REM sleep alone, along with the dreams that accompany it, is the key to obtaining rest we so badly need. All right, so I would imagine that if, because they have done these sleep studies where they do deprive people of REM sleep and they get all screwed up. But I would imagine that if they deprive them of other stages of sleep, like say, what takes up probably the least amount of time, so say if they were focusing on like the deep sleep, stage 3, 4 stuff, I'm sure that if they just deprived us as that, or maybe they deprived us as like say stage 2 of sleep, I'm imagining in the long run that would screw with us a whole bunch and have us be showing signs of sleep deprivation. But then again, another thing to point out here is REM takes up a huge chunk of your sleep, especially if you're sleeping like 7, 8, and 9 hours. You're probably spending like half of that time in REM. So to be deprived of REM sleep is essentially like depriving yourself of half of your time spent sleeping. So, of course you're gonna be waking up feeling all screwed up. Could it be true, therefore, that we really only sleep for hours and hours just to have several accumulated minutes of REM sleep? In which case, do we sleep only to dream? And just one little note here. I don't know why he said several accumulated minutes of REM sleep, because you spend like hours, not, way more than just several minutes worth. And what else I got here? Lucid dreaming appears to be an entirely innate ability. I would agree with that. Perhaps this is because somewhere in our history it used to be more prevalent and gradually fell into disuse and became forgotten about. And I think that makes sense too. Like, back as humans were evolving, or before we had all these other distractions and shit to keep us occupied, we probably slept way more, and then with, say like if we lied down to go to sleep, shortly after the sun went down, sleep for 4 hours, wake up for a little while in the middle of the night, and then go back to sleep. So essentially doing wake back to bed. If people did that regularly, if that was just part of your culture and how you slept, guarantee that culture would have a shitload of lucid dreams, just because of how powerful wake back to bed tends to work. But yeah, I do think, in the past, people were probably a lot more connected to their sleeping and dreams and slept more and therefore had more lucid dreams. What else we got here? Accordingly, if people could in any way reduce the involuntary downtime without any detriment to their health, then I doubt many would be only happy to do so. All right, we'll stick with that. My dyslexia is kicking in, I think. What else? He talks about, do animals lucid dream? I would imagine some probably do. You know, at least some of the ones out there that are like more conscious, like, you know, different types of monkey or ape species, perhaps. The best even an expert daydreamer can expect is to lucid dream every time he attempts to do so, albeit without ever really know how he actually does it. I think that's a good point too, because when you do have a, I said dialed, if you saw my previous video, if you do have a dialed or a dream-induced lucid dream, you know, you typically don't know how you got there. Maybe you realize something was weird, so you do a reality check, but you're, you know, it's never a guaranteed thing, where if you have this whole wild approach dialed in, you know every step of the process to actually get there. So let's see what he's getting at with that. This brings us to another noteworthy point, that another emerging but undeniable fact about lucid dreaming is that even the slightest contact with the lucid dreaming state results in what can only be called a thorough refreshing of whatever it is that makes us feel tired in the first place. Effectively, a mere 45 or 90 minutes of lucid dreaming is noticeably more physically restoring than a whole night's worth of ordinary sleep and dreams. And so something I think he's getting at here is, you know, when you have a really awesome experience, whether it's asleep or, you know, in your waking life, you're going to be on cloud nine. You're going to feel real good. You're going to have some energy there, right? But as you start to have more of these dream experiences, I think some of the high that can stay with you after having such an awesome lucid dream, you know, it gets more routine, and then that natural high that you're going to be feeling will last, you know, not quite as long. He points out this energized mood usually lasts for around 3 or 4 days before gradually fading away. A sensation, I might add, that one experiences from one's very first ever lucid dreaming session. And so, of course, I think the first lucid dream is extra mind-blowing, it's extra novel, you're going to feel even better. But yeah, 3 or 4 days, I mean, I guess that's true. You know, I've had some really amazing lucid dream or even just regular dreaming experiences, and you know, when they're really awesome, that high can last for multiple days for sure. What else in here? He gets onto a few other things, but before I get too off topic, I think we'll just wrap it up with that, and then maybe I'll do one more video on this chapter. We'll just have to see. But with that said, until the next video, keep your lucid dreaming practice legit.